All right, you've probably heard content is king. When it comes to the internet, content is king. It's been said over and over and over again. But I like to say content's not king. Content is the people. It's the masses. Content is everything. Everything that you engage with on the internet is content. Whether you're seeing through the content and just seeing the person on the other side, like an email, and you're not thinking about the content of the email, or social media like Facebook posting, you're not necessarily thinking about the little post, you're thinking about the person, you're just hearing what the person says, right? Or whether it's actual content that you're engaging with, like an article or a video or text. But regardless of how you perceive it, regardless of whether you see through it and see a person on the other side, or whether you just accept that content as being the end, like when you read an article, you're not necessarily seeing the author or thinking about the author. You're just engaging with the content. Same with some type of video, maybe. But regardless, either way, you're always looking at a screen, and you're always looking at and engaging with content. It is the internet. The internet is simply a content distribution and interactivity type of system. That's all it is. So when you look at approaching the web, you have to understand that your plan to create and disseminate content is everything. How are you going to design and display that content? What kind of content are you creating? What value are you bringing to the internet by creating content? Are you littering the internet with just not very valuable content? If so, why? What are you achieving strategically by doing that? So what you have to think about is, how do we create something of value, some type of content that's going to help somebody, that's going to get somebody further along the path of where they're trying to get? And how do I make sure that that path, that I'm approaching the right people, so it's the people that are on the path to engaging with my organization? Because I can't put the organization's resources, time, money, and all that into creating content if it's not going to lead to the growth of our organization. So how do I get in front of the people who want to use our organization for success? And how do I provide them meaningful content to educate them on how we can help them and get them closer and closer to us? Well, it all comes from kind of a content strategy. You have to think through your prospect, their needs, their wants, and you have to dedicate the time, energy, and resources to creating valuable content. You have to be able to distribute that content through different mechanisms, a website, social media channels, whatever it might be. And working through all that is quite a challenge. It's even though the knowledge of what you do comes from your managers and you yourself and your staff and people within your organization, it's almost impossible for them to just tack on to their regular work schedule the creation of valuable content. You have to have some type of external force, whether it's hiring somebody or dedicating somebody full-time within your organization, changing the nature of what they do, or bringing on contractors, or hiring a firm, or whatever it has to be. But you can never really get it done, at least from my experience, unless you have a dedicated team of people that's their job, is to create that content, either on a cyclical, constant basis, or as an initiative of some kind to create a series of videos or a series of articles that you're then going to repurpose. You can send them out by email, you can have them be a drip campaign, you can publish them on your website, you can link to them through social channels, you can print them and mail them to people. Whatever the effective usage and dissemination of that content is fine. But you have to create the content, and it's got to be valuable and meaningful. So as you look to approaching the internet, before you even get into, are we going to have a website, or do we need a new website, do we need a Facebook page, are we going to use email marketing? Before you even get into that, think about the content that you're going to create and why it's valuable. And I put forward this little litmus test. If you were in a room full of people that were your prospects, that you believe they would be prospects, but you don't know where they are in their sales cycle, their ideas, their thoughts, and if you had an index card and you had a pen, what would you write on that index card? And to whom would you hand that index card? If you can't figure that out, if you don't know the answer to that question, then you don't need to be building a website or starting an email campaign, because you really don't know what you're trying to say to whom. You got to figure that out first.